I think sexual bullying is when you take over someone's personal boundaries and you make them feel uncomfortable. Like, it doesn't have to be touching, it doesn't have to be speaking, it's just when you take away a person's sense of being someone.
The worst type of bullying is sexual bullying, in my opinion, because some people, like some victims, don't even know it's happening to them.
Sexual bullying is probably one of the major bullyings, but most overlooked because it's like so common.
I was walking down the road the other day and a man shouted, "Get your rat out." And I was a bit like, what?
Touch my bum, touch my legs, touch my hair.
Boys saying to girls, "Get your tits out," stuff like that. Oi, oi, gorgeous.
Bitch, whore,
Slut.
scare, slut.
You think, oh, that don't feel right. That's sexual bullying, even if you're not aware.
Sexual bullying can be gender-based bullying, bullying of a sexual nature, or sexual harassment. You may not have heard of it, but the chances are you'll see it happening around you all the time.
They were picking out girls and targeting girls, sort of making comments about the way we should be. Just say that I should be wearing skirts so they could see my legs, and then they would have a laugh and like, just take your top off and things like that. At one point, they tried to spread the rumour that I was a prostitute. They started targeting me, and like when I was on my own, and they would sort of pin you up against the wall, touch you, and just say things to you and that. And I was kind of scared about walking to and from classes, and after school as well, because they would follow me down the road. So I didn't really want to leave school on my own. There was a few teachers that noticed what was going on. It happened in every class. They never really paid much attention. I don't think she really thought it was anything serious. It kind of changed over the course that all happened. Instead of just sort of pushing and shoving and pinning you up against the wall, they'd be more rough as well. They would just sort of put their hands up your top or sort of down your trousers. And I didn't feel like I could do anything. But I probably did freeze. And when they were touching you and things like that, it was... I don't know. Part of me sort of thinks that they must have knew they were upsetting me, because sort of it's not something that sort of you would just do to anyone. But they seemed quite naive at the same time.
This story isn't unique. Nearly half of teenage girls have had their bottoms or breasts groped against their will. If sexual bullying is so common, then why isn't it talked about?
Sexual bullying is undercover bullying because people aren't aware that it's bullying.
Sometimes I think it's hard to know if you're bullying someone because they might not speak up and you might not know when their boundaries are, like when you're stepping over them, when you're within them.
Slapping on the bum or, say, cuddling, like you overlook that because you think it's just normal, like friendship or something like that.
There is stuff like jokes, like get your tits up, but I don't really class that as really sexual bullying.
Teachers might see it as like just male and females, the way they get along together, but sometimes it's too much and people don't realise that and they go too far.
Now I look at it properly, I have sexual bullied some people and you don't know you're doing it, it's just so common.
If a boy's too persistent with you, you don't know what to say. You can't talk to anyone about it because it's too much and you might feel stupid. You might feel like to one girl it makes her feel great, but to you it makes you feel really uncomfortable.
Sexual bullying affects both girls and boys and is to do with expectations we put on one another about how we should look and behave. The pressure to live up to these expectations can be huge.
Boys, as many people may know, we are naturally competitive.
If I'm talking to a boy one-to-one, or me and my girls are talking to a boy, then he can be very soft, very genuine, and he doesn't talk about girls like they're an object, whereas if you see boys talking to other boys, they'll talk about, oh, I had her, I had it, and it's just like she goes from being this girl he likes to this girl he had.
In front of my mates, I'd be like, oh yeah, like rah, 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 like getting into like proper detail of like what I'd want to do with this girl.
I know quite a lot of people that have said, yeah, I've had sex with this girl and it never happened. And it's like really like put a girl down, and it's not fair on the girls just to make the boys look better.
Like, you hear it all the time, you always hear like girls referring to other girls as slags because they've had sex. And maybe it's insecurity because they haven't and they feel like they should do because they're under so much pressure.
Boys will sort of be like, yeah, yeah, and it's like, you know it didn't happen, but you can just know he wants to say it did to make him seem like the big man.
So where are we getting these ideas about how girls should be and how boys should be? The media messages we get all around us are extremely powerful.
sex is there, like sex is always everywhere, because you'll see it in shops, you'll see it on billboards, you'll see it on bus stops, like graffiti, magazines, page 3.
Magazines and programmes do like give out a lot of things for teenagers to actually have sex or say they have.
Kids want to be like the Pussycat Dolls at the age of like 10, when they shouldn't really be thinking about things like that. They should just be liking their music.
If they see Katie Price, for instance, in short skirt and a short top with her boobs out, they're going to want to look like her, so they're going to go out and look like that, and then they get named the SAG.
It's always about appearance. It's always, oh yeah, you've got to look like this, you've got to look like that.
Thin, nice breasts, blue eyes.
If a boy goes, oh, she's fit, and like if you like a boy, that boy who said it, you're going to think, oh, if I look like her, he'll like me.
Like in Nuts magazine, you get girls that model in it and stuff, but I think boys look at them and they think, oh, of course she's fit, and they expect more from girls.
My little nephew, he sits there and he's got page 3 on his like walls, and he's like only like 7. He's like, what the hell? And he's got like tits and that out, and he's like, oh, Lucy Pinder, you got any pictures of Lucy Pinder and all this? Like, just like...
It's there, and that's why children are becoming like sexually active and stuff like earlier in age.
Over half of teenage girls felt they were at least partly to blame for their unwanted sexual experience. It seems many young people feel pressured to act in ways that they aren't always comfortable with.
The pressure to be sexually active is massive. Whether you have sex early or late, it shouldn't matter to anyone else, but it does.
To have sex, it's like, it's fashionable kind of thing. It's not...
But it's not only that, like people like 12 think that's what they should be doing, because we're our generation, like they go out, have sex and stuff, they think, oh, we have to do that, it's kind of what we have to do.
If 2 people have had sex and then there's like another girl, then them 2 people are going to talk about it, kind of like...
Yeah, and there's like one that's going to feel like
and then
really...
one might just feel a bit left out and be like,
think,
I really need to have sex now.
So much peer pressure. Like if you haven't, then you not need to. If you have, then you don't do it a lot.
People expect it from you now. It's an expectation. It's not, oh, wait until it's right. It's just, don't wait until you're 16.
Boys especially, I think they really like take the mick out of each other and say like, oh, blah, blah, blah hasn't had sex yet, or blah, blah, blah's got a small penis or something.
If a boy sees a girl and they know she's a virgin, it's always frowned upon. It's like, why?
You feel like you have to boast about it, like you have to tell people, it's like you have to.
More than half of 9 to 19-year-olds have seen pornography online. What effect could this be having on the way we think about each other?
Pornography for me, as a young adult, I watch it every now and again because it's a boy thing to do, but I do believe it gives the wrong image of women.
It's so easy to get hold of sexual material. You can go on the internet, you can type in practically any word and something sexual will come up.
I'm not going to say I don't watch pornography, but I'm not going to say that I do, because we're all boys, we all have to have a look.
If you went through a normal 15-year-old's phone, they're not even legal for sex. You could still find loads of sexual videos.
Men like love that kind of thing, and you'll think to yourself like, well,
That's
we're
what they
good
expect.
enough.
Yeah, that's what they
what
kind of expect.
Yeah, like porn as well. Like when they actually do watch porn, they think that's what we're going to be like, but it's totally different.
It makes boys see girls in a different way, and I don't necessarily think it's always their fault, because once these magazines make like topless girls seem normal, then it's going to be what they expect, and it's going to change their views on things.
You find in porn that a lot of with girl porn that they're very forward-going, whereas not many girls are forward-going. Like,
No.
they wait for the boy to make the move kind of thing, whereas on porn...
They're not
they're
embarrassed,
very,
it's just...
Yeah, they're not embarrassed, they're very
hardcore.
open about it.
Nearly 40% of young people have received unwanted sexual images on their mobile phone. Technology is making sex and sexual material a part of everyday life.
Girls nowadays will send pictures of themselves topless to boys because they think it's normal, because they see it in the papers, they see it on telly, in movies, and they see models and they think, that's what I want to be.
Out of 100, I'd say about 45% of my mates have showed me naked pictures of their girlfriends.
I had a friend who recorded herself on her phone as a treat for her boyfriend, and they split up, and he sent it around the whole school, and it got around loads of schools and stuff.
She wasn't embarrassed by it, she was proud, and she'd lost her sense of who she was, and she liked being this kind of object. So I think that shows that sometimes it grooms girls into being someone. It's not always bullying in a violent way or a horrible way. It can just change who they are.
Lads put more pressure on the girls to make videos of themselves or take dirty pictures of themselves because they're in a group of young lads, and if their mates have got videos of their birds on their phone and pictures, they're going to want it as well.
There might be men out there that's got that video on their phone or on their PC, so it's quite disturbing to think about, really.
At the very least, sexual bullying is annoying, but it can also have serious consequences. 20,000 young people decide to skip school every day as a result of bullying.
Sexual bullying would affect someone in like many ways. They might feel insecure about themselves.
It is horrible to experience. It's not nice. It doesn't make you feel any better about yourself.
The girl being known as a slag is not a very good thing, and a lot of girls get depressed over things like that.
Really don't like it when girls bitch about each other. And,
Yeah.
like, just, you hear about, like, someone's got a reputation for being a slag and other people might be called frigid.
This girl looked at me and she said, oh, why have you got condoms? You're never going to use them. And even if she did mean it as a joke, I did think that was a bit out of order, because I wouldn't have said that to her and it did hurt.
My mate spread the rumour about me and my ex-girlfriend about having a very dirty experience of sex.
You just feel uncomfortable with coming to school every day with like knowing that that's going to happen.
It just made me feel really like dirty, sick.
They might have no one to speak to, they might be embarrassed, or they might even be scared of what the person bullying them would do. So, and they might feel like maybe they're just weird.
Nearly a quarter of 14-year-olds have been forced to have sex or do something sexual against their will. Could there be any connection between things that might go on in a playground and serious sexual assault?
Sexual bullying could be connected to more serious things, that it could lead to that, like sexual assault in streets and stuff, like rape.
With sexual bullying being so normal in schools particularly, that rape, not at the moment, I think it's still a really bad thing, but I think it'll be made a lot less terrible.
Rape and sexual crimes are going to become more, oh, it's all right, it's happened before. If I can touch a girl like this, I'm allowed to go further. It's only that little bit further.
Some people make jokes as well about rape. They don't know, they could be sitting next to someone that got raped and is really scared to speak out or have spoken out and not feel comfortable, and yet they're making a laugh of it and thinking it's hilarious.
Because boys are so used to touching girls in different ways and making them feel like they have no way to escape, a rapist doing it, just taking it too far and doing it somewhere where no one can see, isn't going to be seen as the worst thing ever anymore.
So sexual bullying could be anything from name-calling, touching someone inappropriately, right through to sexual assault. If you were being sexually bullied, what would you do?
You just need to know when the right moment is to say, that's it, I've had enough.
You don't want to say it to anyone because they'll think, oh, well, you're overreacting about this a bit, so can't you grow up?
You don't know with teachers, you can trust them, but you're not sure if they're going to go and tell another teacher.
I think I'd probably talk eventually to my friends, but I wouldn't talk to my mum.
When I was getting sexually bullied, I went to a peer support, and till I did that, it finally stopped, but all my confidence is only just starting to repair itself, and I've only just started going back out and making new friends.